Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here in Rotterdam in the Netherlands talking to Rob, who is the owner of one of our Leaping Bunny certified companies, Reuzel. And we're just going to have a really great conversation around the brand and how it got started. And I'm so excited to introduce you all to Rob. He's a great guy.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for having the Reuzel brand in your show. I can't wait for your questions because, I am very enthusiastic about the whole cruelty-free thing. It's very important in my life.
I love that. Yeah, I totally get that from talking to you off camera. So just sort of segueing into that, do you want to tell us a little bit about your brand, Reuzel?
Reuzel started out of it actually kind of started out as a joke. So it's hard for all our English-talking viewers because Schorem, as we call it in Dutch, is the name of our barbershop. It's actually a really bad word. It's a really, really bad word. When I called my mom and I told her, Mom, the name of the shop's going to be Schorem, she was like, oh, she started crying. She said, I don't want anybody to call my son that. I was like, Mom, they've been doing that for years. It means the scum of the nation.
Oh,
but
wow.
in Dutch, it's like scumbags. It's a bad word. It's you don't want to be called like that. But there's a little knack to it because, we could have never even hoped or dreamed that we would go international. It was a very Dutch company in the heart of my city. And I was aiming for a clientele from the Netherlands. So, because Schorem is a hard word to actually pronounce in English. But the thing is, when you say it in Dutch, it means really bad people. But it's also the past tense of I shave him. So when you say in Dutch, I shave him, it's ik scheer hem. In the past tense, it's ik schoor hem, ik schoor hem.
Totally, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's Rotterdam slang. Now, but the cool thing was the night that we found the name, because we totally switched everything around. We wanted an American barbershop in the beginning, but we had this epiphany. We were like, no, wait a minute, we're Dutch. Why? Because we really looked up to the American barbershop. We were jealous of the American barbershop as an institution almost, because it's got such a rich history.
Sure.
We were missing that in Europe because the war kind of killed the barbershop.
Okay.
But that's a whole different story. So we wanted to bring back an old trade, and we really, love the American thing. But then we're like, hey, wait a minute, we're Dutch. We got our barbershop history too. So we came up with the name. That night we partied very hard because we finally found the name, and it was so much closer to it. It felt way better because we were trying to be American, but we're not. So being Dutch again, we were like, oh my God, this is going to work. And the night that we had that name, which is a terrible name. Everybody's like, nobody's going to go to a shop called Schorem. So we made a joke. If we're ever going to make a pomade, we're going to call it Reuzel.
Okay.
Because Reuzel means lard. Yeah, it's really, and we thought there is an expression in Dutch when it's super hot. Okay, this is going to be horrible. You say, de reuzel loopt door mijn reet, which kind of means the lard goes through my ass crack. It's a horrible expression, but it's funny because that's how people in Rotterdam are very. You made a comment about what you were like, oh my God, you just say everything. That's so Dutch. Rotterdam is definitely, of all the Dutch towns, the ones that are the most straightforward with whatever they say. I mean, sometimes you see people coming from, they're like, you can't say that. Well, apparently we can. So we thought that would be so fun, hilarious, if somebody would say, I got Reuzel in my hair, because it's a weird word. But back in the days, the very first pomades ever made were made out of animal fat. Because that's the only thing that was there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so they made it out of, and the pomades were actually discovered because barbers used to be surgeons, and they made ointments to close the wounds after the bloodletting, and they made that out of animal fat. That kind of is where the product came from, bear fat, blah, blah. So this is kind of based on that very old school principle. Pomade, the thing with the animal fat was it got rancid, so it started stinking and everything.
Sure.
And the name pomade actually comes from France, from pomme. Pomme means apple.
Apple.
Yeah. So the very first pomade we made was, smelling like apples. It was super old school, and it was based on the old animal fat products. There was no animal fat in it. That was all.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you. Are your products all vegan?
They are not vegan. They are vegetarian, and we're working very, very hard to get them vegan. There is still Henelin from the sheep.
Okay.
So we're trying to find a way to get that out. And I think there's a couple of products that are not completely vegan. They're completely vegetarian.
Gotcha.
And they are cruelty-free.
That's amazing. Okay,
Well,
that's good. It's good to know because there's a pig on the front, so people might think, oh my gosh, is there like actual lard in there? But the good news is there's not.
No, and this
That's amazing.
This is, so you got to understand, because what I really love about the product is, see, I am from a punk rock background, right? So, and one of the credos where I'm from is DIY, do it yourself.
Sure.
So when we started Reuzel, you got to understand, we were a very small barbershop in a very small town in a very small country. So it started a bit as a joke. I made the first can myself in the kitchen of Schorem. You know, mixing all these oil. I try to make it myself. It was just an idea.
Yeah.
And we thought the pig was, it's an old school pig, and it was a wink to the past. But we had no idea that it would grow into a global brand, because we get that a lot. Oh my God, it's a pig, it's animal fat. But I'm pretty hardcore vegan. I am very. So this is something that we actually didn't give it that much thought when we started. We just thought it was really cool because it was so different. But so I'm glad I can tell, because we still get that question a lot. People go like, "Oh no, it's an animal product," but it's not. It's never been an animal product. I'm pretty much against.
Yeah,
Right.
well, yeah, it sounds like it. So you said that you're vegan, and can you talk a little bit about your choice to become vegan? Was it something that was a slow, gradual change, or was it something more overnight?
Okay, I'm gonna be super honest with you. I went from vegetarian to vegan about 3 years ago, and that was the moment I quit. I was leading a life filled with alcohol and drugs, and honestly, I didn't give a fuck about anything. So I think, I've been a vegetarian for a very, very long time. But what I found out, that the moment I sobered up, like completely sobered up, and I was in a pretty bad state, but then I was trying to filter my body from the negative influences that I've been on for so long. And a friend of mine, she's a vegan, and she went like, and I said the famous words, "I could never be vegan."
Sure.
And she said, "No, that's not true. You don't want to be vegan." And I was like, and these words kind of stuck in my brain. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So what are the reasons I'm not doing this? And it was literally cheese and chocolate. So I was like, I was scared to lose the cheese and chocolate, and that's it. And
Because
then
Dutch cheese is, definitely has a following, doesn't it?
I know, but I gave up the alcohol, the cocaine, and I was like, wait a minute. So I was sobering up, and I got this very clear vision of putting bad karma into my body. So I was like, any animal product has suffered, whether it's pain, anxiety, fear, and I was sobering up. So I was putting all the good stuff in my body again,
Right.
And I just had this feeling like I am not on the right track. So I took out all the what's the word? Dairy products first.
Yep.
And I started running. So
Okay.
I actually ran the marathon 2 weeks ago.
Right.
and-
Yeah. Oh, you did.
and I did it in 3 hours and 21 minutes.
That's actually incredible.
So this whole plant-based, well, I would never call being vegan a diet. For me, it is a lifestyle full of capacity. Empathy,
Absolutely.
It's not a diet. But what I felt is, especially in my joints and everything, and I read a lot about it, that taking the dairy out, my body just changed. And I am in such a good place right now, mentally, and because, I lost about 25 kilos. It just completely, I took the bad karma out of my body.
That is
and
great.
So I've always, I've been on and off a vegetarian since I was about 14, and but the problem is, especially when drinking, there are moments with a hangover or drunk that you just don't care, that you just start stuffing whatever, and it's the same, with drugs or whatever, your boundaries are gone.
Totally.
And the moment I took that out, I saw a lot of bad emotions in myself, depression. It just kind of went away. So I'm in a very good, and I blame it. Yeah, I blame it on the plant-based thing too, because I feel stronger than I did in my whole life. So for me, it's not even a choice anymore. So I could never go back to.
That's great. And it's also great that you're going to be working on totally vegan formulations for Reuzel as well.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the products that Reuzel offers, because we've certified you Leaping Bunny to be Leaping Bunny certified, and that means that your ingredients, your formulations, and your finished products, all of that is free of any animal testing. So in terms of your actual products, like, what are your offerings? What can people, when they're thinking about Reuzel, what are some of the things that you're selling to people?
I sell looking your best in a can, and that is what we offer. Try the rest and then get the best. Of course, that's what I'm going to say. But you know what? We own a barbershop, so we are barbers. I've been in hair for 35 years.
Sure, I was going to ask you, like, what was your background with even owning a barbershop?
Oh, I fell in love with hair the moment you know what? It's not just hair for me. It's been punk rock, music, skateboarding. I just love the beauty in the margins. This has always been a thing for me,
Cool.
So I don't like I'm not going to call it basic beauty, but I like the birds of the paradise. Is that even an expression?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like what's going on around it. So I've always been intrigued by mohawks and big psychedelic. I love the subcultures, Elvis Presley, greasy hair. So that's what got me into barbering and hair in the first place.
Okay.
And again, very DIY. I started doing hair. I didn't know shit about hair. I just tried it in my room when I was still living with my parents, and they saw I was serious about it. So I became a hairdresser. I learned about barbering. Learned a lot about doing hair shows, and it's always been a passion of mine. So and especially in this niche, So
Yeah, exactly.
And in this niche product, when we started Schorem, it was actually kind of hard to find some products because we wanted products from the 40s and the 50s,
Okay.
and we had to import stuff
So
from
really
America.
old school.
Really old school, but when we started Reuzel, it was kind of, we had so many products, and to talk about the commercial side of it, which is kind of interesting because men love to collect, and our clientele is mainly guys, and what we found out is I'm the same. I love shiny cans, and when it's got a story, because barbering, a lot of people think it's about hair, it's about storytelling. You want to leave the barbershop with a good joke, a bad joke, and a great story. That's always been, that's the success
I like that.
Of a good barbershop. Yeah. See, a beauty salon is built around beauty. A barbershop is built around the barber. You can see that everywhere in the world. It's the owner that makes the atmosphere.
That's really interesting.
That is interesting.
And as a woman, I haven't really often gone to barbershops, so it's really interesting to learn this.
It's a different experience. There's been so much research about the barbershop being a third place. You don't just go for a haircut, and especially in these times, it's crazy times. But if there is one thing that has changed the most because of the internet, social media, the world's changing faster than ever, and the barbershop is one of those places that stays the same.
Definitely.
And you need those almost beacons, like shave havens, we always call them instead of safe havens.
Oh,
but,
that's cool. I've never heard that terminology before.
No, it's an expression, because you want to go to a place that See, you have been to my shop, right? And it's like stepping back into time.
It's absolutely like stepping back into time.
Yeah. And that is a warm blanket, you know? We are very much about fragrances. Our products smell absolutely unique and amazing. When you walked in, you don't smell, there are no chemicals in my shop. It is only those pure scents of aftershave and blah, blah. See, and that is like putting on a warm blanket of the past, you know? Everybody has a memory. Even when you don't really have it, it's a nostalgic feeling that you're looking for because things were better back days. That's not even true, but that's what you like to believe.
Absolutely.
And that's what we try to offer. So, like the shop you went into, well, you know, it's old, it's a little dusty. I mean, we have it cleaned every week, but we make it look a little but that's what you want. If I change the color on the walls, my clients will go like, what did you do that for? It was great the way it was. And that is, within that environment, you know, with all these products, we were like, okay, so when we went, a lot of people ask us about the success of the shop, and our answer is always the same. We created the place that we would want to go to, right?
That's nice. Yeah, that's great.
You build your shop.
You follow your dream.
Exactly. You build it around your own person. Play the music you love, wear what you love, you know, present it the way. You know, it's almost like writing your own book because, you know, you want to write, you really want to read a story that hasn't been written before, then write it, you know. If you want a TV show that's never been done, make it. That is how and it's the same with the product. We were like, you know what? We have to create the perfect product that we would use in our shop. And that took us about a year and a half. We have our headquarters in Denver, you know, so these people know a lot about products.
Yeah,
that's
how
we
did you
met
choose
them.
Denver, by the way?
That is a long story. We'll get to that. But what I first wanted, we drove them absolutely insane because they sent us testers and they were like, "Is this it?" And we were like, "No, it's going to be a little bit more like this." So they thought they would actually come up with the final formula of the product within like 4 months, which is kind of normal. It took us a year and a half before we're like, yeah, now you got it. And so we created the shop we wanted to go to, and we created the product we would put in our hair. Yeah. I haven't got any hair left, but this is what I would use.
Oh my gosh.
But I got a great aftershave now to put on my head, so.
Absolutely. Well, so you're super Dutch and everything, you know, like your shop, like you're a Dutch person, your shop, you wanted it to be, you know, taking some of the American barbershop feeling and incorporating it into a Dutch barbershop. What made you choose to have your headquarters then in America?
Kind of happened. Yeah,
okay.
It's an insane story. It's a very long story, so
maybe
I'll break it down.
Points.
I mean, I think this was written in the stars because I love the Netherlands, but I love America too. Because of a lot of the stuff that I love, you know, within comic books, movies, you know, the whole rock and roll, rockabilly scene, you know. I mean, we got a great rockabilly scene in the UK, but it still comes from America. So, you know, I grew up with American icons. So this was, and especially the barbershop. I mean, every book that's been written about the barbershop, I own it. That's what I wanted. And it was definitely an American thing.
Sure.
So there was this one, so I was making my own pomade in the kitchen.
Right.
Horrible, absolutely horrible, you know, but hey, back in the days,
you do what you do.
Yeah,
you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too far off the subject, but if there is one thing, I mean, I'm jealous with the kids what they got nowadays, but you know what kids will never understand is how much it is worth to make your own stuff. You know, and especially in your punk rock days, you made the cassette tapes yourself, you made your posters yourself, you made your magazines yourself.
Absolutely.
Very, very DIY. And that is how we were with the Reuzel too. Like, hey, I don't need a company, I can do this. Well, I couldn't. I found out.
Yeah.
But the idea was there. We were making cans. They were everywhere in Schorem. Old, empty cans with all my testings in there. And then we had a photographer from America coming over to the Netherlands.
Okay.
who eventually became the guy that helped us out, because he was, yeah, you know what, it's not bragging when it's the truth. He came in and we treated him the way we treat people, which is a Rotterdam way. And he was a little like, okay, because it was a very, very famous photographer. But we were like, what, studio? No, you go in the basement, like we shot our, and he was like, okay, blah, blah. But it was super fun. And then I found out that he was actually a friend of Fidel Sassoon, who is my absolute hero.
Oh, sure.
And you know, we Googled him and we were like, oh my God, did we just tell one of the most famous photographers in hair in America to just go into the basement and shoot his photos there. And we had this chemistry. So he was kind of blown away, because Schorem was so pure, you know, and what I always loved, it was so diverse. Everybody is welcome at that little shop because it's about hair. And we had a great dinner. We did some great storytelling. And then 3 months later, we got a call. And he was like, guys, I cannot get you out of my head. And we were like, yeah, that happens. No, so he was like, I want to be part of your company. And we were very strict. We said, no, man, this is Lane and me. That's not going to happen. You know, it's a little barbershop, and we were very specific about owning one barbershop. We did not want to franchise it.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, you kind of lose your...
Yeah, it's a cold status, and a barbershop should not be franchised. It's not a chain. It is a place where everybody knows your name. So the moment you start franchising, I wouldn't know the name of the people working for me.
Makes sense.
Then you take the magic out of that shop. But he was like, I know, I get that, but I can help you with the product.
And it was born.
Yeah, and he had like 40 years of experience in making products. So we learned a lot. We learned so much. We had no idea. We were so naive that I thought I could fill 100 cans a week and just sell them from the...
Well, and especially if your demand is increasing, which it's certainly your product space has grown, and the demand for your product has certainly grown and become known now, you know, internationally. You can't make all that in your kitchen, so of course you've got to outsource that.
Exactly.
Can you tell me, you spoke a little bit before about the different fragrances. Can you tell me what goes into choosing a fragrance that you said is like wrapping yourself in a warm blanket?
Yeah, that is, you know what? Again, we thank God we have a, what's the word? Not a physicist, Chemist. Physicist. A chemist that really has experience within, because, yeah, most of our products have a little bit of a blast from the past.
Okay.
You know, and there is these super classics like Black and White, you know, the Murrays, and it's vanilla, little bergamot, you know. These are, you want to open a can, and that is literally how I tell it in my school. You want somebody to go like, oh my God, you know?
Can I smell it?
Yeah. It's, and they...
I love that. It's like a minty, buttery...
leathery.
Yeah.
There is, you know, it's kind of,
really nice.
It's good.
Really
nice. It's a little masculine, but, you know, we got some really flowery products too. And it's... The good thing is it's not for, you know, not every product is for everybody, but I'm like, you know what, we have a product for every client, but we have a client for every product too.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it kind of depends on what you want to do with your hair. But with the fragrances, what we do, we get testers from the States. So we get these boxes in, and all my barbers in the shop are like flies on honey, you know.
Oh,
and
so
they
you have a lot of testers there. You have, it's like your built-in testers.
Exactamundo. But the other thing that I do is I have this clothing shop down the street, and I leave my testers there, and you know, and I ask the guy there, hey, if you got people buying clothes, can you just go like, because I want to hear from different.
So great.
Yeah, you know, go like, and so I give it to my girlfriend, and I give it to my daughter, and I'm, you know, my daughter's 22, my girlfriend's little, and they're all from different layers of society, and I just put crosses on it, you know.
What
I just
a great idea.
Yeah, because fragrance, it is proven. I mean, sometimes you hear a song and you go like, "Oh, that's my first kiss" or whatever. But fragrances, something happens in your head and you make a connection with where you.
You know why
smelled
that
it
is
before.
actually? It's because your olfactory nerve is located closest to your memory area of your brain.
I did not know this.
Yes, it's true. It's
I
true.
know,
Your olfactory nerve
I know that there are
is
supermarkets
closest.
that play with it. That
No,
when you go.
it's the truth. It's
Yeah.
actually like a real
No.
thing.
But how they use fragrance, and
Yeah.
we learn a lot about it because that is. I mean, a lot of people went like, "Oh my God, your shop is so beautiful," and it is beautiful. I mean, the antiques and the chairs. It's a beautiful.
And the
But-
art as well is so nice.
But you know what? When people talk about Schorem, they go like, "Oh yeah, it's a beautiful shop." But a lot of people, "Oh my God, it smells so good in there."
Yeah.
So that is the first thing. You know, we put a lot of effort in the floor because that is
The
that
floor is beautiful.
Yeah, we learned back when we own another shop, the floor of your shop is super important because a lot of people enter and look at the floor, especially when you're shy, you're coming in for the first time. So the floor is like super welcoming. Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's warm. It's it looks like it's been there for 300 years, which is not.
Oh, that's so funny. I thought it was like the original flooring of the place.
No. We found those tiles in Belgium at some antique shop,
That's
and then we
awesome.
put it in there with the oak wood. It's but and then it's the smell, man. You walk in, and even when we opened the shop, and the best thing is the smell keeps changing. Because you got different products, but all these fragrances mix. You got the talcum powder, you got the aftershaves, you got the shampoos, and somehow the older the shop got, all the fragrances
aged.
got in the wood. It's
Yeah.
becoming super complex. But you walk in and you're like, and it's almost like you're on the hand of your daddy going to his shop, talk about football and so. That's what you want. That's what we created. And I think that it's the same with the brand. You open a can and it's your favorite product.
So what is your favorite product then?
Ha! That's the one that is we don't sell much of that one.
Okay.
It's my favorite. It's the green and the pink oil based. So the oil-based pomades, that is like old school.
Sure.
That is Elvis Presley. That is James Dean. That is. It's very hard to wash out, but when you look at photos or movies from before the 60s, everybody from Fred Astaire to, they had shiny, slick back hair.
They did.
This was before the chemical revolution, so there was no gel or hairspray. They didn't know how to make it.
Yeah.
It was grease, and you had to build that up, and then you used a hair tonic to clean it at the barbers. So you cleaned the scalp, but it was actually the buildup of, and you know what? There's not a product in the world that does the same thing to your hair as an oil-based product. So when we started the Reuzel company, we were very strict because, we know what's going to be a good seller because, the demand. But we have always been very clear, like we have to, because the oil-based, that is almost that's almost a lifestyle. They call themselves greasers, and
Sure.
that is your Johnny Cash that has a greasy comb in his back in the pocket, and they use the mirror of their old car just to. It's a thing. It's a lifestyle. So for me, that is my favorite product.
Okay.
But if you want, so we're talking really old school here, but then we got the grooming tonic, which is super new school. That is, if I travel the world, that's what I bring. You can use it to blow dry, volume, you can use it to restyle on every product. That is without a doubt that product's unbelievable.
What is something people do not know about your brand?
Well, I think you already answered that. It is not an animal product. I think that's where people go wrong.
That's a great answer, actually.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's there is a pig on it because I love pigs.
Yeah.
They are very.
I love pigs too.
Yeah.
Pigs are like my favorite animal.
Oh my God, have you seen them? And
Besides cats.
if people, I'm a dog person. Sorry,
okay.
Time out. No, I actually want to get a cat, but because of the mice. It's a very old house. And,
Yes.
And there are cats that I really, really like.
Yeah,
but,
it's okay.
But I really miss my bull terrier. He is in the can over here. Well, the thing with the
I love it.
you know what? I really, really like pigs. They're super intelligent.
Agree.
You know, and so that's why the pig is on the can. We never really thought about how big the brand would get, and that would actually become a thing. You know, but
Sure.
for me,
Is it on every product? Is
it's
the pig on every product?
No, it's not on the bottles, but it's on all the cans, I think.
That's great. And you do, I saw in your shop, you have so many different cool canisters of things.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just ask, is Reuzel like a Dutch word, or
Yes.
what does it mean?
It's literally lard. It's horrible.
It means lard. Okay.
Yeah. It's,
okay. That's
yeah.
so interesting.
But I don't think people use the word anymore.
No.
It is very old. So, you know, languages change throughout
Absolutely.
the year. So I would call this Old Dutch. Everybody knows what it means, but it's kind of nasty.
yeah, I
but-
totally understand.
Yeah. But
Got
for,
it.
But for us, you know, when you don't realize you're going to own a global brand, and you haven't met Lane, but you have met me and the guy behind the camera over there, we have a lot of fun. We laugh a lot.
Seems like it's a really fun
Oh,
place.
oh man, all the great ideas come from a humor, you know, and humor is a funny thing. You hear what I did there? You know, it's different for everybody. So my humor will not be the same humor as in Sweden or in Japan or maybe in America, but the idea, if you know the exact meaning of Reuzel, the idea of somebody saying, oh yeah, I got Reuzel in my head, it's kind of hilarious in Dutch. So that's where it started. But they said the same thing about Schorem. You know, everybody put our ID down. They were like, nobody is going to go to a shop called Schorem. But, well, you know, Schorem turned into a huge... There were lines outside of hundreds of people every day. I know it's hard to believe, but we got the photos to prove it. So at a certain point, we literally said, well, if people are going to go to a shop called Schorem, maybe they're going to put Reuzel in their hair too, you know?
Makes complete sense.
And,
Yep.
And that made us laugh so hard. That's where it came from.
It's also easy for Americans to pronounce, and since you're all over America, obviously you want people to be able to pronounce it. So it's a very easily pronounceable.
They say Reuzel.
Oh,
or
do they?
what I
Okay.
even love more, because I am a little bit the oil-based dude who loves that. You know how they call it too? Reusal. Which is
love
absolutely
it.
brilliant, because it stays in the hair. You can recreate your look.
Cool.
Yeah, but coincident, to be honest. Because the first time
Happy coincidence.
Yeah, the first time I heard it's like a Bob Ross. Oh, we got a happy little accent in here. The first time I heard it, I was like, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Reuse it. Yeah, you do reuse it. So, yeah.
Well, I have one final question for you. Tell me why it is so important that your company went through the Leaping Bunny certification process. As you know, it's obviously a multi-step process. You have to get your manufacturers and or suppliers to also say that they do not animal test after a fixed cutoff date. So tell me why that's, you know, one of the most important things for you.
Yeah, well, for me, it's almost a personal thing, you know? I mean, first of all, I would not allow it, you know? So that was a thing when we started this company. We're like, hey, you know, and... But when I heard that we actually got, well, I don't know how you call it, let's call it the stamp, you know.
Leaping Bunny certified.
Yeah. So for me, it's super important that people know. Because of the pig, I understand that there is a little, what's the word? Verwarring? Confusion, you know. But for me, especially with the whole vegetarian... I have always been very, very clear, and even long before Schorem, we used to work for a anti-testing company. So this has always been. I'm not very political, but this, you know, the whole cruelty-free thing. This is the future. You know, this is the past, the present, and the future. And for me to know that, for people to know that this is the core of my life almost, you know. I was really, you know, I mean, I was when I heard you were coming over, I was, yeah.
That's awesome.
No, but it's, you know, it's not a little thing for me. And we talked about this. I hate the preachy vegan police. I'm not going to be that guy, you know? So I'm not going to be like, do this or do that, because I think that's going to work the other way around. But yeah, for me, this is something that's, well, let's put it like this. It's on my plate every day. I think about this
That's
every
awesome.
day.
That's so important, especially when you're making like decisions about the future and development of new products and such. So you've kind of established that as like one of your company's tenets, and that's great. We love to hear that, and I just really want to thank you for your time, for letting us come into your barbershop, into your school, into your home. I've learned so much today, and I look forward to working with you more in the future.
Thank you. I'm really excited I was able to talk about something that I'm very passionate about. So
thanks, Rob. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.